Welcome to your journey to divine you. My name is Charlotte and I'm the founder of Exhale. And Exhale is the UK's first mind-body class to combine the beautiful benefits of breathwork, meditation, mindful movement with modern music. And we provide training on breathwork, on meditation, on mind-body wisdom and practice for hundreds of spiritual entrepreneurs right across the country. So why are you here for this workshop? Well, I've got a pretty good idea that you desire to make a big impact in the world, that you really want to share with other people the things that inspire you, the things that light you up, the things that make you feel alive. You want to share that with the world. And if you're really honest, you want to be abundant doing it. You know, I'm here for all of that stuff, all of the abundance. But I also know that you probably have done workshops before. You've probably got really excited and felt this deep sense of urgency to get it out there and fulfill your highest purpose, to get this dream in motion, to start calling in the abundance, to start calling in the clients, start healing and making a big impact in the world. And then suddenly the fear pops up. And you feel stuck. You feel like, who am I to have created this business? Who am I to put myself out there? It's almost this fear of being found out, like someone's going to come up to you and say, you're not enough of a guru. You're not ready to be teaching this stuff. There's also this sense probably that somebody else is already out there doing the type of work that you want to do. And so there's no room for you. And so you go through this big cycle of getting all excited, having the big dream, the big vision in place. And then suddenly you're paralyzed by fear. Now, this is me in the image in front of you. And the reason why I've popped this in here right now is because until I journeyed to my divinity, until I truly connected with the truth of who I was absolutely paralyzed by fear myself. I've always been an anxious person. I've always engineered smallness in my life. But at the same time, I'd always felt this call to share spiritual practice with the world. I'd always felt like I was meant to be doing something big in the world. And thankfully, as I've said, I'm now completely in touch with that sense of clarity around what my highest purpose is, that sense of confidence that I'm able to go out and do the work that I was meant to do. I'm completely connected to divine me. And this workshop, this masterclass is all about you understanding how to connect to divine you, so that you can feel lit up, so you can feel inspired, so you can share your wisdom and your light with the world and be abundant doing it. When we talk about abundance, we don't just mean wealth, and I am here for all of the wealth, but we also mean spiritual wealth. We mean emotional wealth, feeling good, feeling connected, feeling alive, feeling supported by something bigger than just you and I alone. So why should you trust me? Really, because, as I say, I've been where you are. I've been paralyzed with fear. I've had the big idea. I've felt the call. And then I've gone to put myself out there and I have frozen. There's this fear around being seen as a spiritual person, what that might mean, and maybe not looking spiritual enough as well. I went through a lot of that with my life. But finally, as I say, I learned these systems, these processes, the processes that I'm going to teach you tonight, that allow me to connect on a regular basis with the divine side of myself. We are all equally human. We're all equally divine. And when we tap into our divine nature, that's when the magic happens. That's when the confidence comes. That's when I'm sure about who I am, what I stand for, and what I'm here to do. And that momentum of clarity and of confidence allows you to call in all of that life that I know that you're dreaming of. For me, I am literally living the dream that I had for when I first started out in this business. We are currently supporting 75 mind-body practitioners, 75 meditation instructors, 75 spiritual business owners, and we have trained many, many more than that. But this year we are supporting 75, and we're only in January, so that number is going to grow and grow and grow. We've been lucky enough to have called in the opportunity to work with some amazing, massive corporate clients. I've been and taught myself down at Google headquarters in London. I have been into the ITV studios and taught for them there. We have had instructors that have been featured on the BBC News as experts. We've also been able to teach myself and my team of mind-body practitioners, my team of meditation instructors, all of my students. We have been out and we have taught at big festivals in front of thousands of people. We've taught at the Yoga show as well. We were asked by Fern Cotton to go and put on workshops that sold out at her Happy Place Festival as well. We've also, as I said, been featured experts myself in lots of different publications, but the ones on the screen right now are Good Housekeeping, The Mail on Sunday, Woman and Home. And as I've said, we've been featured in the BBC News. We also have some pretty big names under our belt. We've taught in Celebrities Home. We've helped supported them as well. But this is what's important for you to know. I can teach you how to get all of the confidence, all of the clarity that you need in order to go out there and fulfill your highest purpose, in order to go out there and get opportunities just like these. But I am certainly no guru. I have certainly not been on silent retreat for a year in Tibet. My downward dog 100% needs work. I still shout at my partner at times. I still shout at the kids. I've got 3 children. I understand what it's like to be a normal human being. And it's really important that we put that out there right now, because we've had these amazing opportunities without having to be this perfect spiritual being. You know, the media and society put spiritual teachers on some kind of pedestal. You know, it's almost unobtainable, the image and the lifestyle that these spiritual teachers are supposed to have. But I'm here to tell you that I am the living proof. You do not need to be that in order to be successful in this industry. You just need to bring your unique energy, your unique language, your unique take on the world. And even if it's been said before, the way that you tell it, the way that you teach those practices, the way that you show up in the world will resonate with different people than those that have gone before. And what does the world right now need more than anything else in the world? It needs a sense of connection. It needs that sense of divine support. It needs to see the magic in life again. We need love to lead the way, and that is what we're able to do when we go out there and we start our spiritual businesses. So you can trust me because I've been there, I've done it, and I was able to manifest these big opportunities. And my team of instructors that work through our teacher training courses, which you have the opportunity to join me on. I'll give you the link at the end of this session. I'll be really transparent and open about that. There is an opportunity to go deeper on everything that we talk about today, so that the stuff that you learn tonight, you can go out and share with your own clients as well. So keep your eyes peeled for extra opportunities to be able to deepen your understanding, get a qualification underneath your belt, but also give you that sense of community when you're working alongside all of these other instructors that have already joined us this year. So tonight we are focusing on alchemizing your physiology, your natural physiology, using your natural bodily systems so that you can get clarity on your highest purpose, and so that you have the confidence that you need to be able to go out there and fulfill it. So it's going to take you from where you are right now, probably confused. Is this my calling? Is it not? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing in the world? And if it is, why am I so scared? We're going to put all of that stuff to bed. We're going to start today. Today is day 1. You can absolutely ask for the moon and it's going to be delivered to you. So you're going to get the clarity. on what you're asking for, what your highest purpose is supposed to be. And you're going to have the confidence and the tools to instill and embody that confidence every day so you can keep on taking steps towards that which you want to call into your life. So we're going to start with understanding what our highest purpose is. So for a long time, I described myself as a driverless bus. I was one of those people that knew they were meant to be doing something big in the world. I knew that I was meant to share something with the world. I knew that I was meant to be of help and of healing and of service in the world, but I just didn't know how. So I tried every single job going. I kind of just fell into jobs. I had these moments of inspiration. I'd be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do right now. And I'd go out there, and I was pretty lucky in that I was able to just get those jobs. But what it felt like was this endless journey being on this driverless bus. It had no real direction. I was just being shoved and shunted along with the rest of society, what society expected of me, what friends, what family expected me to do next. The way that I would move from job to job was and also from course to course in terms of my schooling. I just followed the crowd, and that is a theme that existed right the way through my life, if I'm honest. That like I said at the beginning, I always wanted to engineer this sense of smallness. And I'm nearly 6 foot tall. I'm a tall lady. It's hard for me to engineer smallness. But what I mean by that was I kind of hid my true potential. I didn't want to, I now know that I'm unique, and I'm unique for a reason, but I didn't want to stand out at that point. So this led to this kind of lack of direction. The bus just kept on moving along. People kept hopping on and off, but there was no one directing that. I had no sense of purpose. I had no sense of direction for a very, very long time. And part of that was because I failed to connect to the truth of my soul on a regular basis. I've always been a spiritual person. I remember as a child burying crystals and burning wish lists and all of that. I've always been like that. I was intrigued and fascinated by the hippy dippy shop that my mum would take me to that was full of incense and tarot cards. I loved all of that. But I hid that side from the world. And as I got older and went through, my late teens and early 20s, I really hid that part of who I was. And what that meant was that connection that always exists for all of us just felt really faint. I like to understand it as like when you are in touch with your divinity, when you're communicating with your soul, when you're listening to your soul on a regular basis, that link between you and your ancestors, you and your soul and spirit team, you and your own soul, that becomes like a beautiful golden chain. It's strong, it's powerful, it's beautiful. But if you hide that side of yourself, or you're not aware of that divine connection, or you're just not regularly enough using that connection, it kind of starts to fray and get tired. And that communication, that line of communication gets much, much, much less clear. So I wasn't able to have this sense of direction. I wasn't able to gain all that wisdom, that inner knowing on what was right for me, because I just wasn't using that connection. So I was this driverless bus. So if you are also saying I'm a driverless bus, I hear you. So if that is the case, what is your purpose? Your purpose is actually, rather than a fixed destination, rather than driving that bus to one stop and then that's the end, it is a journey. Your purpose will evolve and change as you get older. One of the best ways for me to describe that is, when you become a mother, lots of you will have already had children. Lots of you will be thinking about children in your future. Some of you might not want children at all, and that is your purpose. That is your journey as well. But for those of you who do resonate with the idea of becoming a mother, when your child is small, that is your purpose, to share light with the world through nurturing and loving another human being. So as you evolve, as you grow, as you age, as you learn, as you transform, so does your purpose. But what's really important to remember is that you have this opportunity to be guided by what I call the mothership. So if you imagine a fleet of ships crossing rough, stormy seas, the ship at the front, the one guiding them, that's the one that they call the mothership. And it's almost like the ships that are behind them they live off that momentum that mothership has already created. It's almost carving the way through the sea. The mothership shines a light on the safest route home, and that's how I understand our relationship with our ability to have free will and make our own choices, but also that there's this predestined, pre-agreed. Also on a soul level, we agree, this is going to be my journey, this is how I'm going to show up in the world, this is how I'm going to be of service in the world, this is going to be my purpose in the world. We have, that's already decided, that's already defined, you've already agreed to it. But we also have this element of free will. So this idea of the mothership is carving the route. The mothership is saying, this is the way to go, this is the way through the seas to make this feel easy. This is the way that we want you to be loved and supported. This is the way to go. But you also have the opportunity, if you want to go a little bit off course and to explore these different opportunities. But we have this guiding light pulling us back in all the way along our journey. So as we grow, as we evolve, as we change, we have this opportunity to connect into that golden chain of divinity, that divine connection, to connect in with that mothership for guidance on what is next for me. So it's really important also that you remember, when you're considering your purpose, that you remember that it's not always going to feel easy. And that's because the purpose of your highest purpose is twofold. You always have this element with your highest purpose. Remember that your highest purpose involves you stepping up and being the best version of yourself. That best version of yourself is designed to be of service in the world. So the twofold nature of a purpose is really important to remember. The first part of that is, as I've said, to be of service in the world. So whatever your purpose is, it will be in such a way that it makes an impact on the world. It heals the world. It helps the world in some way. It shines a light on the world in some way. But the other side of this purpose, the other purpose to your highest purpose, is that it facilitates your growth, it encourages your growth, it requires growth. So because your purpose is going to require you to grow and change and evolve into this highest and fullest and truest expression of who you are, it's not going to feel easy. It's going to ask you to move outside your comfort zone. It's going to ask you to invest in yourself financially, but also on a real emotional, deep, healing level. It's going to ask you to be authentic to who you are. It's going to ask you to put your head above the parapet. And all of our humanness, remember I said right at the start, we are both equally human, both equally divine. All of our humanness is going to be resistant to that. Our human nature wants to keep us small. It wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us on the straight and narrow, the normal, what's normal for you, the habits. It doesn't want you to change. It doesn't want you to grow. So you'll also, with your purposes, a really good way to get clarity on what your purpose is that you'll never feel 100% ready to start. That is the line that we hear so much with everybody, all of the hundreds of people that come to train with us, to become meditation mentors, to become mind-body practitioners, to learn mindful movement, to learn breathwork. They never feel quite ready to start that journey, and definitely don't feel ready to go out there and actually teach. But what's really important to remember is that you won't feel ready because it requires your growth, doesn't it? But also, it's really important to know that you don't have to be a finished product to go out there and teach this stuff. There is this myth in the spiritual industry, really, that says that you have to have done 5,000 hours sitting with a monk in Tibet in order to be ready to teach this stuff. And I absolutely am not knocking those kind of practices. It is important to have guidance from a mentor. It is important to have your own personal practice. But at some point, you have to start teaching, you have to go out there in the world. And it's okay to not feel ready, to have not done 1,000 or 1,000,000 hours, whatever it is, whatever you think the requirement is. You don't necessarily have to have done that. If you think about it, you liken it to trainee teachers and junior doctors. They go out and they're literally, junior doctors are literally saving lives before they are qualified. Trainee teachers are changing lives before they are qualified. And the reason that they're able to do that is they're able to go out there and do that kind of work on a really high level because they're enthusiastic, because they're motivated, because they're really in touch with that deep desire and that calling to do good work in the world. And also because they are fully supported by a community of other trainees, but also mentors and people who are guiding them along. So it's okay for you not to be a finished product. It's okay for you not to feel ready. You can still make a difference in the world so long as you have community and so long as you have mentorship. That's one of the things that I'm really proud of with what we do at Excel is we provide that on a minimum level for a year for everyone who trains with us. So if you're looking for a training provider, look for something that gives you that support package so that when the time comes, you feel supported and legally you are supported as well. And this is really important. In order to understand and get clarity on what your purpose is, you must absolutely alchemize your physiology. The reason why this is so important is that when we are stuck in our humanness, we are limited by society's expectations and beliefs around what is possible for us, when it's possible for us, and how we should do it. So it's essentially, if you are creating your understanding of your purpose without alchemizing your physiology, you'll be working from your head. You'll be working from quite probably a dysregulated nervous system. I'm going to talk about that more in much more depth later on. But it means that vision of yourself and what you are capable of and what you should be doing in the world is really limited by what society thinks you should be doing, those timelines that society places upon us, those roles and responsibilities and expectations that society places upon us. It'd be governed by that. So in order to have a true understanding of what your purpose is, you must alchemize your physiology to access this divine side of you, to access the truth of who you are. When you are connected with your divinity, you have a much greater, a much bigger idea of what your highest purpose could look like. And you just have to allow yourself to be guided. You have to ask the question. It's as simple as that. It's allowing yourself to alchemize your physiology and asking your support team, asking your soul team, asking your spirit guides and your ancestors to give you information and not judging that information as it comes through. Quite often we are getting the information, but we're discounting it because our humanness gets in the way. And again, tells us and pulls us back into that really restricted view of what is possible for us. So you'll know that you have alchemized your physiology and that you are fully connected to your divinity, which is the truth of who you are, when you are able to believe and feel the magic at work in the world. I mean, that should say universe, you feel like you believe that there is divine order, that there is purpose, there is a divine path, that there is synchronicity, that there is magic in the world, that miracles exist in the world, and miracles are simply a return to love. It doesn't have to be these big life-changing miracles. This is just about seeing the magic in the world, seeing the beauty in the moment. You'll also know that you're connecting to your divinity when you believe in your limitless potential. Remember that your soul speaks of you in such an honest way. It doesn't place restrictions on who you are and how you should show up and what you can do in the world. You'll know you're fully connected to your divinity in a divine moment when you're laughing the loudest, when you are literally running to the toilet because you are laughing that much, that sense of joy that you fully experience in your body, that you're doubled over, or as I say, you're running to the toilet, or your mouth's hurting, your cheeks are hurting, you're crying tears, you're fully in your body, you're fully in that present moment, and you're fully connected to joy. You'll also know when you are dancing like nobody is watching, that's a divine connected moment. Even when you've not had a drink, you're just dancing, you're fully expressing yourself in your energy and in your bodily presence as well. And connected to that, when you're moving through the world, when you're holding yourself, when you're standing, when you're honoring yourself, just as if you were a goddess, you are connected to your divinity in those moments. And before we go any deeper, I just wanted to set you just a little homework task. I want you to recall a moment when you felt like you were totally connected to your divine nature, when you understood your limitless potential, when you believed in magic. And I want to, if you can, I invite you to find a photograph, an image, and that represents that. Maybe it's a real image of you in those moments, or maybe it's one that conjures up memories for you. And I want you to place that somewhere where you can see it when you are maybe doing your makeup in the morning, or when you are doing your work, when you're getting your laptop out, or maybe it's on the fridge. I want you to notice that as a reminder that you can step into that divinity at any moment. So in order to fulfill your highest purpose, we've understood now that we have to have all of those understandings present, and that we have to be alchemizing our physiology. But we also really, on a really basic level, in order to go out there and fulfill your highest purpose, what you've got, once you've got clarity on it, is you need bravery, you need clarity, and you need desire. So you need to feel confident enough to take the steps that you're going to need to take that move you outside of your comfort zone. You're also going to have a real strong clarity around what your purpose is, but also on who you are and what you stand for. And you're also going to have this real deep desire and that sense of connection to your big why. Like, why are you doing it? Is it for the Chanel handbags? Which is absolutely, in my book, absolutely okay, because when you're working towards your purpose, you're being of service anyway. You don't have to then deny yourself the pleasures of this material world that we live in. We are modern mystics. It is okay for you to desire beautiful, expensive things. But it also is okay if you do want to go out and give all that money back away to charity. Also, it's whatever that thing is that propels you towards taking action. You need to be really connected to it. So you need bravery, you need clarity, and you need desire. So how on earth do you cultivate all three so that we get that clarity on what your purpose is, but also so that you're able to actually confidently take action towards that life where you're living your highest purpose, when your work is your highest purpose? How do we cultivate all three? Well, we need to address it on a physical and emotional level. So much of the business mentorship, so much of the spiritual coaching world focus on things like affirmations. They focus on limiting beliefs. We focus on all of that stuff. All of that is amazing work. But actually, what we really need to do first is focus on our physical being, because it's our biology that holds the key in order for us to feel brave, for us to get clarity, and also for us to feel connected to a sense of deep to desire, to feel motivated. It starts with our biology and our physiology. And so in order to address our physicality, in order to address our physiology, if you like, we need to learn new ABC. So that's what this masterclass is all about. It's alchemizing your own physiology through new ABCs. So as I said, it starts with your biology, that ability to be able to think clearly, to have a really good understanding of who you are, what you stand for in life, and what your purpose is. It starts with your biology. In order to feel confident and courageous, it starts with your biology. In order to feel connected to your big why, to feel desire on a deep level, that desire to be of service, it starts with your biology. And this is why. It's because how you feel internally, what's happening in your nervous system specifically, influences how you feel. So your nervous system has the choice of 4 different states. If you look in science books, it's going to tell you 3. I've added in a 4th, because that 4th state is that state where you are divinely connected. But in terms of science, there are 3 states that your nervous system can operate in at any given moment. And it's your nervous system that actually influences how you think, and therefore how you feel, and therefore how you behave. So these 4 states, you might be familiar with these terms, you might not be. I'm going to take you through the basics of this. If you wanted to learn more about your nervous system and how that affects how you think, how you feel, and how you behave, we have an amazing package at the moment, which gives you not only an introduction to teaching spiritual practices like meditation, mindful movement, and spirituality on that level, it also gives you an opportunity to understand the wisdom of the body. It's mind, body, spirit, magic. There is so much wisdom that's held within our bodies. We have teacher training packages so that you can learn that stuff and share it with your clients. They're available to book. You'll find the link underneath this video. So we have 4 states, these 3 states that are science-based, and this 4th state that we can't have parameters for, that isn't quite as tangible as the other 3. But the first 3, as I say, you may be familiar with them, you may not. The first one is ventral vagal state. That's a state really that we want to be living in. That's a state where you feel okay. You feel at home in the world. You notice details. You feel calm. You feel this sense of, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm safe. If we feel stressed or if we feel threatened, we quite often move into the next state, which I'm going to call today the fight or flight state. So most of you be familiar with that. That's when we feel quite defensive. That's when we feel angry. That's when we feel like aggressive. That's when we feel like this rush of energy, like I want to just hit back. I want to react. And it's not a nice place to be. But there's also this 3rd state that doesn't get talked about very often. And we're going to call that today the dorsal state. And that is that state where if you are living in fight or flight for too long, if there is that consistent sense or perception of threat, your body can drop into this dorsal system where you feel like you just want to hide away. You just want to give up. You just want to run away, and all of our biology, all of our physiology, which remember impacts how we think, how we feel, and how we behave, wants to engineer this sense of smallness. It wants us to opt out from the world. It's a difficult state to be in. So really, we want to make sure that we are moving towards this ventral vagal state, this sense of, I feel okay, I feel at peace with the world, I'm making good decisions, I feel in control. We want to move towards that. And then from that point, what's amazing is we're then able to access our divinity as well. But if we are sat in ventral, if we are sat in fight or flight, or if we are sat in dorsal state, it's really difficult for us to access that chain. Remember, I said earlier that when we feel connected to our divinity, that chain is really strong. It's a beautiful golden chain. But when we are stressed, when we are withdrawing from the world, when we want to hide from the world, it's not as easy for us to access that connection. And so that connection becomes like a really thin wire. It's still there. You're never abandoned by spirit. You're never abandoned by your soul team. You're never abandoned by your ancestors or your own soul itself. It's always there, but it's our awareness of it that becomes much thinner. So if that's the case, that how we think and how we feel is influenced by our body's choice of system or its nervous system state, we have these four choices, if you like. How does the body make those choices? Well, it does that through three different channels. The first channel is our environment. So it's our perception of our circumstances. So the brain uses information from our past experiences, information around what we believe to be possible for ourselves, and information around our belief systems in terms of what is threatening to us and what isn't, in order to decide if the environment in which you find yourself in, whether that be around people or whether that be a physical space, whether that is safe or not. If the body feels actually that the perception is that you are threatened, you're going to move into fight or flight, or you're going to move into that dorsal state, But it also takes information from our internal systems as well. And this is the magical bit. This is where we can alchemize our physiology. We can alchemize our internal systems. The body will use things like the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is an amazing, amazing nerve that runs all the way from the base of your skull, all the way down through your chest, all the way into your tummy. And this nerve sends information about what's happening in the body, which gives the brain information about whether we are at threat or not, or in threat or not. And so again, it can choose to stay in that gorgeous, I'm safe, I'm okay, ventral vagal state, or move into that fight or flight or dorsal state. And the other channel that we use is actually other people's nervous systems. So what's amazing about our bodies is that wherever there is an electrical current in our bodies, which we know for sure there is in the brain and there is in the heart, there is always an associated electromagnetic field. On these fields carries information about our breathing rate, about our heart rate, about the state of our nervous system. It carries thoughts and feelings as well, at least 3 feet away from us. But there is evidence now that's being generated, which means that field extends way further than that, particularly in bonded pairs. So this information is sent out to that person you're sat in the same room with, or if you're a bonded pair, as in if you are a child and a parent, or if you are particularly connected to your partner. There is evidence to suggest that you can communicate with them on a much bigger distance. This information is sent to the other person's nervous system, and this is where the other channel comes in. So we use that information from other people's nervous systems to help us understand what state we should be in, what our heart rate should be doing, what our level of confidence should be like, what our feeling about the world should be. It's almost like, if you're safe, I'm safe. If you're not safe, I'm equally not safe. And that goes back to the fact that we are primal, primitive human beings, essentially. Before there was language, before we could communicate verbally, we had this system of letting each other know that we were under attack, that we were under threat by, whether it be from a tiger or another cave person, So we have these 3 channels. So what does that actually mean for you in terms of your fulfilling your highest purpose? Well, the problem is that when you're in fight or flight, or when you're in the dorsal state, you absolutely have no bravery. The reason for that is that when we move into either one of those states, the body's primary function and focus is on keeping you safe. In order to keep you safe, it needs to understand what the current threat level is. It needs to go through all of the worst case scenarios. It needs to convince you to keep yourself small. So it will change your thought patterns and your belief systems almost. It'll change your behavior as a result of both of those things to keep you small. So it's the absolute opposite of what is required in order for you to feel brave, right? The other problem is that you're going to have no clarity either. So remember, in order to fulfill your highest purpose, you need bravery, you need clarity, and you obviously need that desire as well. But there's no clarity when you're in fight or flight or dorsal state. And that's because when you move into either of those states, what actually happens is the blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, which gives you logical linear thinking, which is your ability to understand questions and to use language and to use reasoning. It's also where your sense of self is housed. So your understanding of who you really are on a core level, that blood supply to that area of the brain that does all of that is literally cut off or extremely slowed, which gives you this sense of when you're stressed, when you're in that fight or flight state, you don't know whether you're coming or going. You don't know what to do next. You have no sense of like what the right answer is. You just feel like there's no way out of it. This is why. So in order to fulfill your highest purpose, you need bravery, you need clarity. And when you're in fight or flight or dorsal state, you absolutely do not have that. The other thing that you don't have is that sense of desire for more. One of the ways that we operate as human beings is that we have these kind of core universal needs that need to be met before we can start to have this desire to be of service in the world, this desire to want more for ourselves. That only comes when these core human needs are met. And when we're in fight or flight or dorsal state, we're not able to meet those core human universal needs for safety and survival. We need to feel stable, we need stability in our lives. When we're in fight or flight or dorsal state, your brain is being told that there is no safety for you right now. And what's really interesting is you don't actually need to be in a war zone to move into fight or flight or dorsal state. Just thinking about a stressful situation can put you into fight or flight or dorsal state. And in those moments, your core human universal need, all of us have this need for a sense of safety, a sense of connection, a sense of stability. All of those needs are not being met. And because of that, you're unable to access this part of ourselves which desires to be of service in the world. So we have to move out of fight or flight or dorsal state in order to have the bravery, the clarity, and the desire that you need in order to fulfill your highest purpose. So moving to ventral vagal gives you a chance. But journeying to divinity gives you a supercharge. Remember that we can only move to that sense of connection once we've restored calm in our bodies. Once we're back in that ventral vagal state, it like opens the portal. When you're stressed, you're certainly not aware in this on any kind of the same level of that divine connection. So you can alchemize your physiology to be able to move back to ventral vagal and then move from there into that divine connection. And how do we do that? You can alchemize your own natural physiology. Everything you've got is already within you. It's already there. The magic lies within, that all of the components are there. You just have to alchemize them. You just have to use them. You just have to find the magic within them. And we do that through awareness, through finding balance, and through finding calm. Awareness gives us an opportunity to choose what state we want to be in, so that we can bring our nervous system back into balance, so that we can choose to move through into calm. And from that place of calm, we can access our clarity, we can access our creativity, we can access, therefore, our confidence. So awareness leads to balance, which leads to calm, which leads to divine connection. So how do we cultivate awareness? Well, we want to really start to listen to the signals, listen to the mind-body wisdom that exists within you already. Your body will tell you when you are moving into those different nervous system states. What we're going to do now is we're going to work through an activity which we cover on our new training package, which talks about and introduces you to the mechanisms of mind-body wisdom. It starts to help you understand how your body talks to you. And this is one of the activities that we do on that training package. what I want you to do is to close your eyes down. We're going to tune into our bodies. We're going to allow ourselves to feel physically in our bodies when we are moving into each of those states. So when we're moving into ventral, when we're moving into fight or flight, and when we're moving into dorsal. Your body will let you know. And remember that we can move into those states simply by thinking about stressful situations. So I'm going to give you words or phrases right now, which are going to activate those different systems within your body. And I want you to really pay close attention to the different areas of your body and how. Notice if there is any tingling, notice if there's any sensation, notice if there's any heat, notice if you're just brought to tightness within different parts of your body. Or maybe it's just awareness of a different part of your body. Maybe you need to swallow. Maybe you need to yawn. Maybe you feel tightness in your hands or your tummy. Maybe you feel heat in your palms. So closing the eyes down, taking the hands to the heart for a moment. And just taking a nice deep breath just to bring you out of your head into your body. We're allowing ourselves to be present with the breath, dropping the shoulders, releasing the jaw. And as you breathe, just connecting with that breath in any way that feels good for you. So maybe you're following the breath, maybe you're just noticing the rise and the fall of the chest or the tummy. And just allowing yourself just to settle. Once you feel settled, you can take the hands away from the heart. And I want you just to notice, as I've said, what parts of your body activate when I say the following words. I give up. I'm exhausted. I want to hide. What parts of the body do you experience lightness or tension? Is there any part of your body that you are drawn to, that you notice heat or tingling? What word for the body part comes to mind? What is happening within the body when you say to yourself, either in your mind or aloud if possible, I give up. I'm exhausted. I want to hide. And then shaking that out. So just wiggling fingers, toes, circling wrists, circling ankles. Moving on to the next one. How does your body feel? Where is the tightness? Where is the lightness? Where's the one place that you are drawn to when you say the following words? I am not safe. The world is not safe for me. I am not safe. The world is not safe for me. What part of your body tightens, contracts? Where is there heat? Where is there tingling? There doesn't need to be more than one body part. What body part are you drawn to, or what body part comes to mind when you say those words, I am not safe? Once you've got it, shaking it out. So wiggling fingers, toes, shaking the wrists, shaking the fingers, shaking the toes. And then we're coming into our final system now. How does your body feel when you say the words to yourself, I am safe, I am connected, I am loved, I am enough, I am safe, I am connected, I am loved? What part of your body activates? Where is there heat? Where is there tingling? What part of your body are you drawn to? Do you need to yawn? Do you need to swallow? Do you need to sigh? Do you need to stretch? When you're ready, I can feel myself needing to take a nice deep breath. If you want to take a deep breath in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. And then opening your eyes when you're ready. And just remembering that wisdom is present. Don't judge it. Don't criticize it. When you are in ventral vagal, when we said those words, I am safe, I'm connected, I am loved, where did you feel drawn to? For me, it's always in my palms. I always feel openness and tingling and heat in my palms when I feel like I'm moving fully into that sense of calm. So quite often when I'm meditating in the early stages of my meditation, I will notice my palms activate. Therefore, I can use that information to notice, if I know I'm in ventral vagal when I feel that activation in my palms. But the real value is noticing those signals and those parts of our bodies that are activated when we're in fight or flight. You know, when I know that I am not safe, when the world does not feel safe to me, my tummy will tell me. I will feel that tightness in my tummy. When I've spoken to my children about how they feel when they're in that fight or flight state, you know, and obviously in real basic language, they'll talk to me about things like there being tightness in their fists. They make fists. They feel tightness in their jaw. You know, they screw up their faces. So it's different for everybody. So don't judge what came up for you, but use that as your reference point. Now we have that awareness that if I feel like X, Y, Z, I'm now in the fight or flight state, which gives you that opportunity to move back to balance, to choose again to move back towards that ventral vagal state. And then from there towards that higher state of consciousness, that higher divine state where you've got access to bravery, you've got access to clarity, you've got access to that desire. So also when we said the words, I give up, I'm exhausted, I want to hide, that was activating your dorsal system. For me, I know I'm in dorsal system when I feel like almost like I'm outside of my body. So I feel like an awareness behind my eyes. It's like I've zoned out, even though I'm still there. I have this sense, almost like a lens goes over my eyes. And I also feel like a closing up at the throat. And that makes total sense in both of those physicalities, because when we're in dorsal state, we don't want to speak up, we don't want to be seen, and we don't want to see the world either. So really paying attention to these signals that your body sends you. We learn this on much deeper level on our current teacher training package. Like I say, the link is below if you want to check that out, if you feel called to explore this. But this is something that you can share with your clients, even in this basic way. But you know, we want to really have that depth of understanding before we go out there, which is why we recommend that you do take a full teacher training. But for now, just know that you have that ability now. I've given you that. Your body has given you that sense of awareness of when you're in each of those states, which gives you the power back so that you can then choose to move back to balance. So how do we cultivate the awareness? To summarize, you listen to that wisdom within your body. You create space. You slow down enough to be able to hear it. You practice. You use it like a muscle. You keep going back. And each time that voice or that sensation in your body will get stronger. We want to drop our expectations around how and when I should be responding. You know, quite often we don't want to know that we get stressed out by normal, quote unquote, normal scenarios, you know, but sometimes we do. You have to listen to that wisdom, and you have to act on it, and you have to drop the expectations around when you should be triggered and when you shouldn't be. And really importantly as well, you need to hydrate your body. So important for that wisdom to be able to come through. There needs to be hydration in your body. You know, water is the key for hearing the wisdom of your soul. So once we're aware of what state we're in, once we've checked in with our nervous system, we're then able to bring our bodies back into balance. We're able to come back to that ventral vagal state. We're able to alchemize our physiology. We're able to find the magic within our bodies, use our bodies the way that they are meant to. Primarily, we do that through the breath. You can do that through physical openings of the body as well, which we're going to talk about in a few moments. But essentially, you can use the breath. Any focus on the breath will do, but primarily those breathwork techniques which activate the vagus nerve, which is something that we teach in our teacher training package, which is currently out. So we teach on our teacher training 4 different types of breath. We teach a breath for meditation, a breath for relaxation. We teach heart-focused breath work. We also teach box breathing, which allows you to power up your body as well. So use the breath to activate that vagus nerve, which tells the body, remember that the body, one of the body's channels for understanding which state we should be in is that internal system. The vagus nerve gives us information about what is going on physically, internally. If we can tell that vagus nerve to send that information back to the brain that all is well, then everything will follow suit. Your thoughts and your feelings, and therefore your behavior, will move back into that ventral vagal state. And it's those types of breath, like that heart focused breath work, that breath for relaxation, those are the type of breath work patterns that activate the vagus nerve to alchemize your physiology. So once we've found that sense of balance, once we've accessed that, once we've alchemized our physiology, that alchemy allows you to access this state of calm where we meet the magic of the present moment. So when we're in that stressed out state, when we're in that fight or flight state or that dorsal state, we miss the magic. We can't see the beauty in the world. The world does not feel safe to us anymore. But when we're in this gorgeous ventral vagal state, once we've accessed that through alchemizing the physiology through the breath, we're able to meet the magic of the present moment. We notice the details, we see the magic, we see the divine order, we start to believe that magic exists in the world again. And therefore we can experience life on a much deeper level, rather than just being focused on our survival and just getting through the day, just getting the jobs done. You start to be moved by things. You start to feel connected to other people on a much deeper level. You're also obviously able to rest and heal, which means that I'm able to show up in the world as a healer, as a spiritual being, as a light worker, as a spiritual business owner on full capacity. You are unable to fulfill your highest purpose if you are not nourishing yourself first. It's part of the deal. You remember that the whole purpose of a purpose, that it's twofold. It's to be of service, but it's to facilitate your growth. It's to allow you to be the best version of yourself. And in order to be the best version of yourself, you need to rest and you need to feel healed. What it also allows you to do, this alchemy, is become more sensitive to the magic that exists within you. Remember that when we alchemize our physiology, it changes your thought patterns so that you're able to think good things about yourself. We are so cruel to ourselves when we think about our capabilities, when we think about our looks, for example, when we think about what we do or don't do in the world. It allows you to have this more compassionate thought pattern, because we are now not looking for the negatives. We're not looking for or imagining the worst case scenarios, which we do when we're in fight or flight or when we're in dorsal. When we're in ventral vagal, we're all about being present with who we are. And remember that the thought patterns, those magical thought patterns, that that kindness, that compassion, leads to feeling better. It allows you access to those higher levels of emotion, like joy, like true happiness, but also like feeling powerful and feeling alive. And that influences your behavior, as we know. So our thoughts become feelings, which become our behavior. And what's amazing is that this place of calm leads to clarity. Remember that blood flow is now switched back onto that prefrontal cortex, which affects our ability to think clearly. It affects our sense of self. And then that clarity gives us confidence. We can only feel confident when we're really sure about who we are, what we stand for, why we're doing what we're doing, and what we're aiming for. That gives us that sense of confidence. But confidence can move to courage if we then are able to access this fourth state, if we're able to move from that ventral vagal to that state of divine connection. So A leads to B, leads to C, which leads to this divine connection, where confidence that we had in the ventral vagal state moves through to courage, that real sense of bravery, which you need to be able to fulfill your highest purpose. Motivation, feeling like able to do work, becomes to feel inspired. It makes you feel like there's this real call for you to do your work. That moves, that want, that urgency actually moves to this sense of desire where there's more peace around it. You want to be of service in the world, and you want to be guided by your soul, by your spirit team, by your ancestors. So how do we cultivate this divine connection? We need to get out of your head. Remember that your head is limited. It tells you lies about your capabilities. Remember that our thoughts, when we're in our humanness, are generated or cultivated by your past previous experiences, by your childhood, by what your parents thought was possible for you. All of that stuff, it's really limited, it's really restricted. It's restricted by things like gender, it's restricted by age, it's restricted by timelines. So we want to get out of that head, get out of your humanness and back into your heart, back into your body. And we know that we can do that via the breath. And then, really importantly, you need to allow a consciousness shift to take place. So, you know, when you're in meditation, so often there is this sense of connection, but there's also this sense of restriction with that as well. We don't want to allow ourselves to go deeper. And that sense of not allowing this deepening and this shift of consciousness comes from fear. It comes from judgment. It comes from a sense of expectation around what may or may not be happening. The best way to describe the way that we can restrict this shift of consciousness is when signs that we are deepening and shifting consciousness take place, like seeing lights or colors and seeing imagery maybe, or different tinglings and sensations in the body, you know, and we judge them and we label them and we come right back into our humanness. We start thinking about them again. What we need to be able to do to shift in consciousness is stop thinking, stop judging. So it's about little tiny shifts. We talk about this in our meditation teacher training package, which again is available to book right now. We talk about how to stop going down that rabbit hole of thought and come back to that present moment so that that consciousness shift can actually take place. So the consciousness shift, what's actually happening inside the brain is this. And this again is an example of a training slide which we use on our meditation teacher training package. So we move from beta, which is that present day, in the moment, very logical, very busy thought pattern. When we are in that busyness, when we are doing, when we are getting the jobs done around the house, for example, you're usually in beta. When you are learning and you're really focused on remembering that information, you're in beta. When you start to relax, the brainwaves start to shift towards more alpha brainwaves. You know, that's that relaxed state of awareness. This quite often happens to us at the start of meditation. But in order to access this true whispers of the soul, in order to really access and strengthen that divine connection, to be able to feel that golden chain rather than those threads of connection, we need to move into theta. We have to allow ourselves to shift into theta. We need to move from the conscious mind into the subconscious. We need to go below the surface. And chemically, what's happening, we need to have the shift from serotonin over to melatonin. That's why it feels so dreamy. That's why it feels so sleepy when we're having those full divine moments of connection. So how do we actually do that? How do we actually facilitate that divine connection? Well, again, this is a whole entire teacher training package in one go, but on one slide, I summarized it for you. Use rhythm and repetition. Anything that creates that sense of rhythm where your mind can move out of beta, thinking about what comes next. We're just doing the same thing over and over. We get lost in that sense of rhythm. You can do that with music. You can do that with movement. You can do that by reciting a mantra. But rhythm and repetition allows you to shift your consciousness. The beta brainwaves know they can go to sleep, because what's coming next is already considered, it's already done. So use music, as I say, use affirmations, use repetition of movements, repetition of words and phrases. All of that works. We need to be able to lower the gaze. Again, that's going to switch you out of that beta brainwave state. We can either expand it as if you were looking at a sunset. That really works for that. Or you can roll your eyes up and back in order to switch off those beta brainwaves and start to move into alpha and then theta. A really amazing way to move from alpha into theta then is to sense yourself outside of yourself. So becoming aware of your electromagnetic field, for example, how far that extends, and being connected with that at its fullest extension, sensing yourself outside of yourself. That's a Joe Dispenza technique, which we cover on our meditation teacher training. Another way to move into that state of where I'm out of my head and I'm connected with my heart, I'm connected with my soul. Remember, the heart is the window to the soul, is to use heart-focused breathwork, which again we teach on our meditation teacher training package. And whilst we're talking about the heart, it's a really amazing tool to use as part of your manifesting practice. When we're feeling connected to divinity, in this case through the heart, it's a really great time to practice manifestation rituals. And that's because, remember, that electromagnetic field of the heart sends out not only information about what's going on for us, our thoughts, our feelings, and our heart rate, our breath rate, what's happening with our nervous system, it also carries out our desires. It carries information about our thoughts, our emotions, our physical self, our frequency, and our desires. So you are literally projecting out to the universe that which you are visioning on, that which you are desiring when you are in meditation and you shift your focus to that which you want to manifest, that thing that you want to call in this case, you're living your highest purpose. If you imagine that in your mind's eye, whilst you are connected through the heart, that vision of you will be sent out to the universe. And what's really amazing is that your emotions, your physical state, like what's happening in your body on an emotional level, acts as a magnet, pulling in experiences which match that frequency that you've just sent out. So that vision of you living your highest purpose has a specific frequency. In order to see that manifest in your reality, you will need to create emotions within your body, create your physiology in such a way that it matches that frequency. You need to alchemize your physiology. You need to alchemize your emotions to match that same frequency. Imagine, you know how good you feel when you're manifesting. When you're in meditation, you're watching yourself. You're visioning yourself living your highest purpose. You feel elated, you feel alive, you feel connected, you feel uplifted, you feel joyful. In order to see that in your real life, in your day-to-day, you need to have that elevated emotion on a daily basis. So incorporating heart-focused breathwork, incorporating connecting to the divine with visioning, with manifesting, absolutely works, because we're going to use the heart to send out that message of what we want to see in the world, in our reality. And then we're going to use that elevated emotion to draw that. That's the magnet drawing the experience back towards you. But how do you keep that elevated feeling going? We're going to talk about that in a moment. That's the important bit. I'm going to teach you how to alchemize your physiology so that you can hold on to that feeling for the rest of the day. But to continue with developing divinity, it's really important that you strengthen that connection on a daily basis. Treat it like a muscle. You'll be much more connected to your divinity, and also those higher states of bravery, that higher state of clarity, that higher state of desire when you do these things. So listen to your body, as we've already said. Observe your energy levels. Nourish yourself. Rest when you need to. And you need to capture your downloads. So when you feel inspired, when you feel like you've been gifted some information from your spirit team, from your soul, from your ancestors, whatever it is, capture it, write it down, pay attention to it, rather than just moving on to the next thing. Make sure you keep a notebook of those downloads. And then really, obviously, slow down. You need to slow down enough to notice the magic that exists within the world. So once you've got the clarity on what your highest purpose is, it's obviously time to take action towards fulfilling it. And this is where that bit that I've just been speaking about comes in. How do I keep myself feeling so motivated, so alive, so joyful about living my highest purpose? Well, you need to check in and connect with your divinity daily. Remember that connecting with your divinity allows you to vision, plan, and take action using the truth of your soul, rather than envisioning from the head, which is limited by your human experience. We need to hold on to the strength and the emotion that you feel during your connected moments, during your meditations, during your breath work, by alchemizing your physiology via power posing. There are many other ways to alchemize your physiology. We're going to take you through one of the techniques which we use on our Mind Body Wisdom training course. Again, you can access information on how to book onto that training course by using the link below. So what are power poses? Power poses allow you to hold the feeling or hold that connection in your body to match the vibration of that which you want to call in. Remember that how we're feeling, what our body feels like, what our emotions are like, acts as the magnet to pull stuff in towards us. So if we feel good, we're going to attract those really good high vibe experiences. So what happens is that elevated emotion draws in elevated experiences. And we know already this starts with our biology. Power poses keep your vibration in alignment with your highest purpose, in alignment with your highest desires, the truest expression of who you are. It also instills in the body higher levels of testosterone, which is fine in both men and women, which leads to increased feelings of confidence so that you can actually go out there and take the action which you need to take in order to make this happen in the real world. We can manifest on the 5D, we get this sense of these awesomeness things happening, but we're working on the 3D. We need to take actual physical action. So it also leads to lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone cortisol, which decreases your anxiety and helps you deal with those stressful situations. Remember that when you are journeying towards your highest purpose, you are going to be challenged. You are going to be asked to step outside your comfort zone. You are going to get scared. So holding these power poses allows you to feel that fear and do it anyway. So these are what power poses look like. If you look at the top row, these are the positions that we want to be holding before we do a big speech, before we go out and record our podcast, before we ask that question that we really want to ask, before we try and ask for the sale, before we go and hold our first yoga class, our first crystal healing class, whatever it is. We want to hold those positions on the top row rather than those that we have on the second row. The second row represents our physicality, our body language when we feel scared, when we feel restricted, when we're in that fight or flight or dorsal state. The ones on the top represent how we feel, what our body language looks like when we're in that ventral vagal state. And this information comes from an amazing lady called Amy Cuddy. She's done a TED talk all around power poses. But essentially her research began by looking at blind from birth children and what their body language was like when they experienced elevated emotion. So the example that she gives in her TED talk, she talks about how these children who are blind from birth, so they've never seen anybody celebrate, they've never seen anybody champion themselves, they've never seen anybody's body language when they are really excited and really pumped up about their achievements, when they feel confident, when they feel strong. And she watched them running races. And when they were winning the races, all of the children did a similar thing. They all raised their arms high and wide above their heads. That's another PowerPoint that isn't on this slide at the moment. I'll show you that one in a moment. But what that showed was that actually we have these primitive coding that lives within us, that there are body language patterns which are linked to confidence. And what she found was that if we hold we can reverse engineer it. So if we hold those poses like the ones on the top or like the ones on this screen, more Beyonce, more Wonder Woman, and also the ones on this screen, what we're actually able to do is trick our nervous system, trick our or alchemize, I should say, our physiology in order to feel more confident. Holding the pose, remember that the body uses information from, and the brain uses information from 3 different channels, doesn't it? That's that internal channel, which includes your body language, which includes your heart rate and your breath rate. It uses information from our circumstances and our environment and also other people's nervous system. So in this case, we're using that first system, that internal system, we're reverse engineering it, simply holding these kind of poses tells your body that it's safe for you to be in ventral vagal, that there is no threat. So if you feel nervous, you're scared to take the leap, holding these poses for a couple of minutes or more while you're breathing, you can supercharge and alchemize this even more by connecting with your breath and activating that vagus nerve as well. And then you're able to take those steps and feel brave, have that clarity and have that desire just by the way that you are holding your body. So that is the practice that we have incorporated all of that beautiful wisdom, all of that mind-body wisdom, all of that science, but all of that spirituality and that divine connection as well. We've created some beautiful classes at Exhale that our instructors are able to incorporate into their own classes or to go out and teach as standalone classes. We call those classes power-up sessions. I'm going to send you, if you are subscribed to our mailing list, a copy of a power-up session so you can experience it for yourself. But the practice is so powerful in terms of getting you what you need in order to fulfill your highest purpose. And that is that bravery, that clarity, and that sense of desire to go out and be seen and be heard and make a change in the world, that desire to have amazing experiences, that desire to have the Chanel handbag, whatever it is. Those are the three things that you need in order to fulfill your highest purpose. And this practice helps cultivate that. It alchemizes your physiology. So to summarize everything that we've said, the most important bit to get that clarity, to get that sense of presence, to get that bravery, to get that desire, you need to find stillness. You then want to journey towards the divine you, to experience the wisdom that lies within you, to hear that kind, compassionate voice of your soul, which tells you that you're always enough. You need to be able to connect with that and experience it without judgment. And then, most importantly, you need to hold and embody that vibration of the truest expression of your soul, that confident you that's got all the clarity, that you that's got all of the desire, that's got all of that bravery. So I am done with everything that I wanted to share with you. This is the truth of my soul. I know that my highest purpose is sharing this kind of science, sharing this kind of spirituality, sharing these kind of practices with you. I would absolutely love to journey with you to exploring that on a much deeper level by supporting you for that full year as you journey through our newest training package. As I've said, the link is below, and you can contact me in any of our social media platforms or through our website if you need any further support, or you can join our free Facebook community, Exhale and Ascend. It has been my absolute pleasure to host this masterclass, and I know